Welcome to a special episode of Plan Your Federal Retirement Podcast. I'm your host, Micah Shalansky, and joining me today to go over some really important and timely details, the one, the only, Tammy Flanagan. Tammy, how's it going?
Hi, Micah. Yeah, we're in a whirlwind, aren't we? I think everybody is at this point. So, we're doing good, but we're hanging on for dear life. We're trying to figure out, if it's a fork or a knife in the road or what it is. So we're going to try to figure that out, right?
No, we're going to go through a lot of that stuff together. We've been getting, I know Tammy, you and I both independently have just been getting a bazillion questions on this, which is great. Keep them coming. We know you guys have it. People are calling our office. I was talking to Victoria in our office, and she says, "Hey, Micah, here's a bunch of questions." And I answered them, and she's calling people back. And I was like, "All right, did you clear out your day? You clear out everybody?" She's like, "No, I was on the phone. About 10 other people called." So we're constantly getting questions and emails. These are good. And really, Tammy, it's, we've given good information. I actually don't want to foo-pod. The information has been pretty good, but it's a pretty tight timeline, and people need to make some real big decisions.
Exactly. Yeah, I had somebody suggest today that if they don't get enough people signing up by Thursday morning, they could extend it, but no one has said that, so I wouldn't want to start that rumor. But I definitely, I've been telling people when they ask me to wait till Thursday, because every day we look, there's more information. So it's putting some of these puzzle pieces together that you want to have before you make this commitment that you can't turn back. That would be one recommendation I would make. It's pretty safe.
I like it. There's only one client that we were like, just send the email today. There's no point in thinking about it because we've been hoping for a VERA for 2 years. She's financially ready to retire. He's already retired. This is a godsend to them because it's just like, okay, perfect. Now we get to retire together. And before she's going to be tied up for another 4 years of federal service. So in like that case, when we were planning on it, everything was lined up. I mean, the retirement plan was good to go. Mentally, they were ready. Financially, they were ready. Pull the trigger. Let's call this a day.
I agree, because for a lot of people, this is a golden opportunity. They've been just waiting for an early out, not necessarily thinking it would happen like this, but it's what they've been waiting for. So yeah, I've had a few clients call me and say, "When can we meet? We got to do the final steps."
That's right. That's right. Now, if that's not you, and there's a lot of people that are not you, there's a lot of things to be considering. And there's some people that this makes a ton of sense for. It's a no-brainer. There's some people that I could kind of go back either way, Tammy, on whether it makes sense or not. We can talk about that. And then there's other set of people that says this is not for you. And so we just, knowing which camp you're in, if you're in the this isn't for you camp, quit paying attention. Like move on with life, start getting other things done, etc. We don't need to burn brain power here.
Yep. And this isn't available as much as it's government wide. There are a lot of exceptions. I saw the letter going out to Social Security employees, and pretty much everybody's exempt from this. So they're not going to have many people even entitled to apply for it. They've already exempted law enforcement and intelligence communities. So those folks are working just like they always did. They're not paying any attention to this. And then I've also found, like today, I was talking to people at Patent and Trademark. And, even though this early out has been offered through and authorized from OPM, if the agency doesn't want to participate in a VERA, I'm assuming they can choose not to, because that's what they told me they were doing. So that part I'm still not sure about. OPM overrides the agency, but I'm going to lean towards that the agency can still say, we're not going to authorize early out at this agency.
That seems the more conservative, guess, right? And I agree with that, Tammy.
It might be wrong, but that's the err on the side of being conservative.
Amen. Now let's bring up this kind of the first question that no matter who I'm talking to, this is the first question that they ask, and you probably get the same one. And we're not attorneys, right? So we can't give any legal advice on this. But Tammy, the question is, Micah, is this real? And if it is, am I even going to get paid? Like if I take this, am I going to get paid for the next 7-ish months until the end of September? Are they really going to process my retirement, or are they going to yank this out from underneath me? I think it's real. Tammy, what do you think?
Oh, I think it's real too. And there was a letter came out today. I'm looking at it right now. It's called, the name of the memorandum that's going to all agencies is Legality of Deferred Resignation. And here's what they say about getting paid, which kind of makes sense. It says, may an employee be placed on administrative leave during the deferred resignation period? Yes. The decision to grant administrative leave and for how long lies largely within the agency's discretion. They give a footnote to say why they are saying that. There was a Federal Register that came out the end of December during the Biden administration that was trying to set some parameters over administrative leave. But apparently they've found a way around that, about the 10-day limit and all of that. Because they said, here's what they said about that. They said they can go beyond the 10 days. They can do it for the whole period of time. So according to this, which again is coming from the same source that the original memo came from, they're claiming that it is legal. I do think there may be some court cases on this. And the one thing to be cautious of is if you send in the email saying, what is it supposed to say? Resign or resign, retire. You're going to get a notice back from your agency. It's a boilerplate from OPM telling you all kinds of things about you're not allowed to join a lawsuit. You're not allowed to file suit yourself. Like you're agreeing to all these non-disclosure things. So be real careful when you send that in, because you're going to get this contract after you've committed to it. So be real careful there.
Yeah. So this goes back to the aspect of, and I know I put out a video. It's done pretty well. There's a lot of people on it. Tammy, right when this first came out, I was traveling. So I just did it while I was traveling. But it was like, hey, there's two aspects to retirement, the financial aspect and the mental aspect. And if you're checking both those boxes, then this is a good option for you. Mm-hmm. But if you're borderline, man, there's so many unknowns. I don't know if I would tell you to take it.
Yeah, if you haven't already been planning to retire, if this already wasn't on your radar, so meaning you haven't done any real planning yet, you haven't taken taxes into consideration, you haven't checked your records to make sure all your service is verified, I would be really hesitant, because with a normal situation, that takes time. We always tell employees, start your planning 5 years before you plan to go, at least, if not at the beginning of your career. But people who procrastinate, at least start it when you still have time to make changes, when you still have time to locate missing documentation or to pay a deposit. Don't fly by the seat of your pants just because you're under pressure to make this decision. This is like impulse buying.
Yeah. So, if you had already made the decision that says, hey, I'm going to buy this, and all of a sudden a 20% sale came out, I'm going to pull the trigger on that thing. I had no problem on it, right? Because I was going to buy it at 100%. Now it's at a discount. I love it. So Tammy, let's make a little bit of pivot here, and let's say, okay, if somebody does take this, right, and there's a lot of reasons it makes a ton of sense, and we can get into those a little bit more, but let's walk through the process of what we think. And I say think because we don't really know. We don't got those details out yet on what it's going to be. But what do you think that process is going to be from they send in the resignation, they get the payment? When do you think they're going to fill a retirement application? When do you think they're going to get their first check from a retirement side? Let's just say they picked September 30th, and there's no extension on it for them for whatever reason. What's that timeline going to look like?
Well, first of all, when you submit the admission that you're going to take advantage of this and you send the memo back to OPM, you're going to get this agreement, which to me is a contract, right? In fact, you have to sign it. So that is a contract. It has your name, your title, all of that. So you want to make sure that this is what you want to do. And then it says in here that you have to continue working through February 28th. So your administrative leave doesn't start until March 1st. You got to turn in, it even tells you got to turn in your badge and your equipment and all of that stuff. So even though you're still on the payroll, you're pretty much gone as of that date. So now, like you were saying before, the question is, when do I turn in my retirement application? If it was me, I would turn it in next week, because I want to be top of the list if my agent, especially if I'm in a large organization where there's going to be a lot of people taking advantage of this. I want them to start putting my package together when they're not stressed out and up against the clock that I'm leaving next week. So I'm going to set my retirement date for December 31st, but I'm going to put my application in tomorrow if that's what I'm planning to do. Now, of course, you can retire sooner, but they are allowing you to delay the retirement until December 31st and stay on administrative leave until then.
Why wouldn't you take that? Like, why wouldn't we, why would we go out on September 30th for retirement date versus 12/31? Like, exactly. I'm not seeing a downside of this, right? Why wouldn't you pick the furthest date out there? Because you're increasing your benefits, because you're being paid administrative leave. That means that time counts to increasing your pension, right? That extra 3 months in this case is going to increase your pension. You're going to keep getting your full paycheck during this period in time. And then after that administrative leave time period, you just move into normal, assuming you're eligible, you move into a normal retirement or a VERA retirement. It's a good deal. I don't see any reason not to.
Well, there's one thing that bothers me, and it's because what happens at the end of a normal year? When does OPM receive the most retirements?
That's a great point. They receive the most at the end of the year. Yep.
Yeah. And so now you're going to add to that all these people that were not previously going to retire. Now they're going to go out December 31st, and OPM employees might be among the bunch that are leaving. I'd be afraid that it's going to take 2 years to process my retirement, or mistakes will be made. That might be one reason why I might choose a date a little earlier. I don't know. I mean, it's a gamble. It depends on how much cash I have that I can carry myself through. As long as I feel secure that way, I'm willing to wait. Then yes, I think there's all the advantages in the world of waiting. You get more of everything according to the plan.
And Tammy, I remember, and I know you do as well, when it used to normally take a year plus to get a retirement application through, right? So that's not a ridiculous statement. I mean,
No.
that it was in the near past that this actually happened. And it's been amazing that OPM's now getting them in 3 to 6 months, compared to what we had. So that's not an outlandish statement. I agree. So this goes back to our cash flow planning, which cash flow is the heartbeat of retirement, right? You have to have good discipline in knowing what you're spending, knowing what income you have coming in putting together your cash reserves, whether it's your TSP, your IRA, Roth conversion planning, whatever you're doing. But that investment plan needs to have a healthy portion in cash or cash equivalents, right? If you want something a little bit more, but you need money accessible for, Tammy, just what you said. Is let's say you want to maximize that retirement, you wait to the end of the year. Let's say you go out on September 30th, but you and 200,000 other people did as well, right?
Which is most far-fetched. I could be that many.
That's what they're saying, 5 to 10%. Let's go with 2 million federal employees. That's 200,000, right? Now, not all of them will have retirement applications, so cut it in half, 100,000. Tammy, how many retirement applications a year does OPM normally get?
About that in a whole year. Now we're talking about that 1 month.
And then plus the normal people that are going to retire on that as well. So this could be a big portion of people coming. So going back to the basics, right? And I love, Tammy, that you said that you got to have a solid cash flow base and a place to draw that money from, because we have no idea how long it's going to take for that pension to start.
No, we don't. We don't. And you gotta know what you're entitled to, because I'm afraid if they start rushing through these applications, because they got to get them done, there could be mistakes made. So make sure you understand where those numbers are coming from. Make sure you save all the documentation of your beginning and ending dates, any changes in work schedule, any changes in retirement coverage, because those are the things that prove that are evidence of your career. So if you're going to fight a mistake that you think has been made, you've got to have the evidence, just like any investigation. So yeah, I'm telling people to download their entire EOPF because you're going to lose access to that once you leave. Be listening to the news because it's changing daily, because there are proposals in Congress to change the high 3 to high 5 right now. There's a proposal to get rid of the supplement.
Tammy, on those proposals, though, those are proposals that I'm looking at that would affect new retirees. Those aren't proposals that will affect current retirees. Again, they can change them. Yeah, COLA. Yeah.
And any contribution to health insurance, if they make a change to that, that can certainly affect retirees too. So any change to insurance premiums, insurance contributions, that can change for retirees, and COLA changes most certainly can affect retirees. But if you change the way the retirement is computed, that has to happen before it's computed, right?
Yeah.
Not to say that they couldn't change that rule too.
Where are the odds, though, right? The odds are, and historically, when the government has changed the system, they've left the current federal employees alone, the current retired ones alone, and it was the new ones that they really changed the system, whether it's CSRs to FERS, FERS to RAY, FERS to FRAY.
In the future, yeah. So let's hope that, and the good thing is that type of change does require congressional action. That's not something OPM can say, well, tomorrow we're going to use the high 5. There has to be a change in the law. So, and they proposed this before, and not only in the first Trump administration, but in previous administrations, to try to change the supplement and all these other things. They've never gotten anywhere because there's been so much lobbying against it. So I'm hoping that would hold true today, because this is one of the things we can still hold on to, is the value of this retirement benefit at its current level. Because a lot of people are making decisions way ahead of when they had planned to.
So one of the questions that we often get is leave. It says, okay, Micah, if I take this deal, like what's going to happen to my leave, my annual leave, my sick leave? Now, I'd say there's 2 ways to look at it. Are you going the retirement route or the resignation route? Right now, you're resigning then to a retirement. That means you're eligible for an immediate retirement, whether it's the VERA, or a normal retirement. And so that route, we just got to think about it is that's like a normal retirement, right, Tammy? So that means the leave that you get is going to be cashed out when you separate from service. And so let's just say the annual leave. Thank you. The annual leave would be cashed out when you separate. So if you were left on 12/31, it's you and 100,000 other people. So it could be delayed. But within a couple of weeks, generally the next pay cycle or so is when that annual leave is going to be cashed out. Yeah, or so, right? But it's the ish number. But I could see an easy delay, but they're not going to lose it.
Right. I compare this situation to what was happening during COVID when everybody was working for home. They had to pivot to a different way of doing their job. And there were some payroll offices that got stuck and they were delaying annual leave payments for 9 months. So that could happen. So I would say don't count anything out from happening, but just pay attention real close and stay in touch with your HR office. Read the reputable news sites. Listen to us because we're reputable. We try to stay on top of this. Just keep in mind things can change.
And then your sick leave, you still get your sick leave, and it's going to be computed. Yeah, just same way for retirement. So it's going to add to your retirement benefits. So again, you're not losing any leave benefits at all by taking this resignation to a retirement. Is that a correct statement there, Tammy?
Yeah, and I'll just add to that sick leave doesn't make you eligible to retire. So if you need to have 30 years of service, you can't use your sick leave to get there unless you're sick and you go on sick leave for however long. So you can't do that. Now, we did read for early retirement that if you have enough annual leave, you can pretty much go on annual leave and then get to the point when you're eligible and then leave that day. But again, it's not going to take you beyond December 31st in this current offer. So if you're not eligible till next January, then you can't retire during this resignation.
Yeah, maybe I'm not creative enough, but I can't see how that terminal leave, like the military has terminal leave, right? When you get your leave, you just burn it off and you're done. And that's frowned upon in civilian service. This would be a case to use it in this type of VERA, but I don't see any benefit in that, Tammy, because
not really,
no, let's just save that up and get the check for it at the end because you're going to...
Especially if I don't have to work during that time anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Other questions that we're kind of getting on here is the FERS supplement. I know I just put up a video on that one yesterday as well, because a lot of questions I'll be getting. If you go out on a VERA, how does that FERS supplement work? Now, keep in mind that your pension is based on, your retirement benefits are based on those three stools, right? We have our pension, we have our Social Security, and our TSP. It's that three-legged stool. Your pension allows you to retire earlier before 62 when your Social Security starts. So they give you this FERS supplement if you're eligible to help bridge that gap from that retirement to 62. So you're still eligible if you go out on a VERA for a FERS supplement, but it doesn't start right away. Tammy, when does it start?
It starts at your minimum retirement age. So that could be 57 if you were born in 1970 or later, or it could be 56 in 2 months, depending on your year of birth. So you're going to check the MRA chart at opm.gov, and it'll show you when that is. But let's say you took an early out with 25 years of service and you were only 47. So you're waiting 10 years to get that FERS supplement check. So you better have another job lined up, because that FERS benefit after 25 years is only replacing 1/4 of your gross income. That's not a lot of money to live on. And, trying to take TSP out at 47 is not wise either for most people. And you're not going to get the supplement until 10 years from now. So I think you'd be hurting for money. The best part about that, you'd have health insurance. And if you were trying to get out of the government because you had another job or you wanted to become self-employed, it could be a really great deal. Yeah, but you have to have that in your plan. You can't think that, I'm going to take this retirement and live happily ever after.
Well, Tammy, you brought up, I totally forgot to put on the list, my apology, but TSP, right? If you take a VERA, let's keep in mind, TSP rules are TSP rules. FERS retirement rules are FERS retirement rules, right? Mm-hmm. These things are different.
They don't intersect.
Yes, they don't intersect, right? So we got to take off our FERS hat and we got to put on our TSP hat. Now, the TSP hat is not an IRA hat. Those are also different hats, right? So the TSP is, in order to access it, not law enforcement, special provisions, in order to access your TSP, without a premature penalty to it, you have to separate at 55 or older. Okay, what does that mean? So if you take a VERA at 52, because you have over 20 years of federal service, and I'm 52 and I take this, I cannot access my TSP without a penalty just by a normal distribution from the TSP until 59 and a half, right? So there's a big time window here. Now, there's this things called 72Ts and systematic distributions. Boy, caution flags go up all the time. People don't understand and big mistakes can be made. It's a tool, but be very careful. So again, if you're eligible for the VERA and for the retirement, that's awesome. That doesn't necessarily mean you're eligible for your TSP access.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I was talking about that today in terms of withdrawal options. And like the 72T, these are all life expectancy options. And if you're 47 or 52, you potentially have another 30, 40 years of life expectancy, which means they're going to divide that balance by 30 or 40 years. The amount you're going to get at 52 is not going to really supplement your FERS benefit very much. And you got to stick with it. Yeah. So that's really not something you can count on. In fact, you want to let that TSP account grow until when you can afford to fully retire. So if you're going to just turn around and go get another job, don't count on using that TSP in the interim. Let that grow.
Yeah, let it grow. Think about Roth conversions. Next year, 2026, the TSP is going to allow internal Roth conversions. And so that's super exciting. How are they going to do it? I have no idea. I'm looking to look forward to figuring it out when it happens. But I think that's a great option. But yeah, let that TSP grow for you.
Yep, that's for sure.
Tammy, other thoughts on this fork in the road that people should be thinking about right now? We kind of talked a lot about the benefits. It really is, again, if you were pretty much ready to go and this happened to coalesce with your timeline, probably makes sense to really give it a hard look. If you weren't ready to go, unless you want to transition to the private sector or something else, this is probably not a good option for you.
I had kind of an interesting question today about someone who said, what if I need to apply for disability?
Oh,
So with disability retirement, you don't necessarily choose the date. You have to be approved. You have to apply for Social Security disability. It's a whole process. But let's say you did that and you didn't hear back from OPM by the time September 30th rolled around. So you could, in essence, resign on September 30th, just like you would be required to do. You can still process that disability after you separate. You have up to a year after you separate to file for disability. So you're still taking a bit of a risk in case you're denied the benefit, because you could be turned down if you don't have a disabling condition that prevents you from doing your job and the agency didn't try to accommodate you first. So there's hoops to jump through, but I don't think this would necessarily stop you from applying for disability. That can still be processed, but I'd be really hesitant about thinking it's going to happen anytime quick. Whether it's Social Security application, which are really lagging behind because Social Security can't hire enough people because of the hiring freeze and they are short-staffed, and OPM going through what they're going through right now, I think they're going to not put, as much as they should put disability on the top burner, I think it's still going to get delayed. So be careful.
Was there anything, I didn't read that with that in mind, was there anything in the agreement you have to sign with the resignation that would eliminate you from applying for disability retirement?
They didn't address that. I wonder if they will. I wonder if that's going to come out tomorrow in a frequently asked question. Because I think there's a lot of little technicalities that when they wrote this, they didn't consider all the ifs, ands, and buts. Because like we know, Micah, federal employees' careers take all kinds of different twists and turns. And you got to think of all, and that's why it's so complicated. That's why they haven't been able to automate retirement, because there's so many unique situations. And I think that's going to be the devil in the details.
Yep. Yeah, very much so. All right. So big action items on this podcast. Get more information, right? Learn about this. Really good takeaways, Tammy. I'm going to pull on something that you said, that if you want to say yes to this, probably wait until Thursday to send off that email, because every day is coming out with new information, including for Tammy and I. We're getting new stuff all the time and we're learning about it. So I like to have as much information as I can before I have to make that decision. And unless, of course, it's a no-brainer, you're going to do it anyways because you were planning on a VERA. That's kind of the one exception to that. And Tammy, what are the good takeaways or action items should our listeners be thinking about for this week?
Yeah, I'm telling people to gather all your documentation, fill out the form. If you're thinking about a deferred retirement or an immediate retirement, get the application, fill it out, look and make sure you understand it. Go to OPM's website and learn what's creditable service, what isn't. If you haven't paid a deposit for your military service, get that done. If you can't leave and not pay the deposit because you can't pay it afterwards. So try to do everything possible to cram your retirement planning into this short time frame. Because if you're thinking about this, that all has to get done, whether you have 5 years to do it or whether you have 5 days to do it.
Yeah, very much so. Also, if you're going to do a postponed or a deferred retirement, we did a series on that. So sorry to plug our own stuff, but Tammy, you and I have seen way too many mistakes that other people have made on improperly filling out that application. You wouldn't think it's that complicated. It's the devil's in the details on this one, folks. And you could lose the best benefit you ever had by merely putting the wrong date.
Yeah, it's different times. This is unprecedented. So everybody, I wish you all luck. I hope that you make the right decision for you and you don't feel pressured, because I think that a lot of people are feeling this pressure to make this decision, which it is. But on the other hand, you can always say no. Just wait and see what happens.
Tammy, thank you so much. And to all the listeners, till next time, happy planning.
Bye-bye.